Heroes often team up as a way to bring down bad guys, but audiences love watching these different personalities interact with one another. Today, we're going to be talking about some of the greatest friendships and romantic relationships in the MCU. We'll show you some characters who we love seeing together more than Thanos loves his sweet, sweet Infinity Stones. Before we show you the MCU definition of friendship goals, be sure to subscribe to CBR and ring that bell to join our notification squad so you never miss any of our MCU videos. Tony Stark and Peter Parker. It's no secret that Tony Stark had an exceptionally tumultuous relationship with his own father. He didn't exactly have a great mentor himself, so he struggled a bit to connect with Peter Parker. The young superhero was desperate to bond with the infamous Iron Man, but his boundless enthusiasm was a bit off-putting. Yet somehow, these two managed to meet in the middle, with Tony teaching Peter to play it cool and Peter getting Tony to open up a bit. At the beginning of Avengers Infinity War, we heard Tony Stark telling Pepper Potts about a dream he had, in which the two of them had a son. While there's some speculation that Pepper is pregnant, many fans believe this dream was a reflection of his fatherly feelings toward Peter Parker. And of course, as so often happens in the MCU, we were set up only to be knocked down at the end of the movie. Peter Parker's spidey sense seemed to warn him that he wasn't going to survive the snap, and the terror he felt was absolutely heartbreaking. While it was sad to see so many heroes disappear, there's no denying that watching Peter and Tony say goodbye was the most tragic. Thor and the Hulk. Over the course of his time in the MCU, we've seen some big changes take place with the Incredible Hulk. When he first joined the Avengers, he was an incredibly powerful ally, but also an incredibly unpredictable one. He would just as eagerly smash his fellow heroes as the enemy, and this made it just a little bit hard to establish a lasting friendship. But during Thor Ragnarok, we saw a very different version of the Hulk. He wasn't only capable of speaking entire sentences, but he was also able to convey emotions other than pure unbridled rage. It was pretty charming how thrilled Thor was to see Hulk when he arrived on Sakaar, because we're pretty sure most people would be horrified to come face to face with this green behemoth. Of course, they traded blows, but after the fighting was done, we actually saw them talking to one another. Hulk is a far cry from Bruce Banner in terms of intellect. We don't think that there are any characters in the MCU who enjoy fighting quite as much as Hulk and Thor, but we love that they've also learned to spar with their words and not their fists. TChalla and Ocoee. One relationship we loved seeing was the one between T'Challa and the fearsome warrior Ocoee. It's surprisingly rare to see two opposite-sex pals on the big screen who aren't constantly on the verge of locking lips. T'Challa and Ocoee showed the power of platonic love in the movie Black Panther, and we're all for it. As a member of the Dora Milaje, Ocoee is sworn to protect her king, but it's clear that her unwavering loyalty to T'Challa goes far beyond his title. Those two respect each other as warriors, and even if Ocoee helps T'Challa out from time to time, she's classy enough not to bring it up. Ocoee even knows T'Challa well enough to know when she shouldn't listen to him. T'Challa is surrounded by people to cheer him on, but Ocoee is someone who challenges him when he needs it. At the end of the day, these two will always have each other's backs, no matter how tough things get. Starlord and Gamora. During the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie, we saw Peter Quill motivated by many things. He was interested in stealing treasure, hooking up with women, and getting people to call him Starlord, but Gamora was only interested in one thing, and that was stopping Ronan and ultimately her father Thanos. Despite their differences, the two of them managed to bond, and Starlord proved he was willing to sacrifice himself in order to save her. In the second movie, Starlord handedly pointed out that they've been cultivating a will they or won't they vibe and let her know he was interested in pursuing a romantic relationship. Now, these two clearly do have love for one another, but we're not saying that they have the best romantic relationship. Instead, we love that they have such a strong friendship. Confessing feelings for a relationship can tank things, but Starlord and Gamora managed to work through it. Even if these two never get a stereotypical happily ever after ending, they're still total friendship goals in our opinion. They both know each other extremely well and are keenly aware of their differences, but despite this, they've still come to respect and deeply care for one another. Starlord and Gamora are pretty much the definition of the phrase opposites attract. Steve Rogers and Bucky Barnes. Their friendship is one that has endured decades and has survived due to their undying loyalty to one another. These two grew up together and supported each other through thick and thin. As we all know, after receiving the super serum and becoming Captain America, Rogers ended up frozen in the Arctic. When he was revived, he had missed out on so much of his life, and the world had completely changed in his absence. Although times had changed, the friendship between Steve and Bucky had not. We saw the great lengths these two would go to in order to protect one another. These two characters have endured so much, but they refuse to let their challenges undermine their spectacular friendship. One point of contention in their otherwise blissful romance is the whole Bucky being brainwashed thing. But even though this makes him a frightening and unpredictable enemy at times, Captain America never loses faith that Bucky can't recover, even when this puts a strain on his relationship with his fellow Avengers. Steve will never give up on Bucky. The Scarlet Witch and Vision. It's actually kind of ironic that the most organic romance involves the mostly inorganic character Vision. He and Wanda Maximoff are both rather strange characters with very different personalities. During Captain America Civil War, they find themselves on different sides of an extremely important issue, but at the end of the day, it doesn't affect how they feel about each other. Actor Paul Bettany sheds some light on just what makes Vision and Scarlet Witch work so well as a couple. According to him, Vision has been on a quest to truly understand what makes someone human, and what's more human than falling in love with someone? Their relationship has been, in many ways, responsible for the level of humanity he's achieved. And as we saw in Avengers Infinity War, he's also capable of giving plenty of love. He even attempts to have the dreaded define the relationship talk with her until they're disrupted by the Black Order. Don't you just hate when that happens? Drax and Mantis. Drax the Destroyer is known for his blunt statements and his inability to not take statements literally. Nothing goes over his head, because he would catch it. But then in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, he meets Mantis, a character whose main trait is her empathy. There were so many ways a friendship between these two characters could have gone badly, but somehow it works. We guess opposites really do attract at times. Mantis spent her life sequestered, with only ego for company. As a result, she's extremely naive and sheltered about many aspects of the real world. And although he's experienced many different aspects of life, Drax certainly doesn't understand them quite the way others around him seem to. Despite their obvious differences and the unique ways they view the world, they still find ways to understand each other. Drax even manages to see what makes Mantis beautiful, at least on the inside. Although if you're looking to make new friends, we definitely don't recommend calling them ugly. Natasha Romanoff and Steve Rogers. It's easy to see why Captain America and Black Widow would make a great romantic couple. After all, they're both good-looking, which is, sadly, enough to qualify for romantic partnership in the MCU sometimes. But these two have a relationship which is way more than skin deep. They teamed up during Captain America the Winter Soldier and gradually established a powerful mutual respect for one another. Captain America is known for his staunch moral values, but Black Widow is a bit more flexible in that regard. Although they disagreed at times, their ideological conflicts don't prevent them from working together well. In fact, even though they were on opposite sides during Captain America Civil War, they still managed to be, well, civil to one another. These two have a great friendship and working relationship with one another. According to actor Chris Evans, these two have been through a lot together. They've had their core beliefs challenged, and during this time, they've had each other to lean on. When asked about a possible romance between the characters, actress Scarlett Johansson pointed out that there's still Thanos to worry about, so our heroes don't exactly have time for romance. Is preventing Steve Rogers and Natasha Romanoff from hooking up truly the worst thing Thanos has ever done? Well, no, but it's pretty disappointing to some fans. Thor and Rocket. It's no secret that the Guardians aren't known for their impressive interpersonal skills, and perhaps no member of the team is more difficult to get along with than Rocket Raccoon. Even his fellow Guardians find him tiring from time to time, but according to director Joe Russo, Rocket's prickly personality made him the perfect new friend for the God of Thunder. During Avengers Infinity War, at his absolute lowest point, he encounters Rocket, a creature with almost zero empathy. It might have been a disaster, but the two established a pretty effortless camaraderie with one another. Thor's devastation brings out the best in Rocket, who at least tries to show some compassion. After all, Rocket went through the losses of the original Groot and Yondu, so he knows a thing or two about saying goodbye to friends. And Thor's enthusiasm and positive outlook strike a great balance against Rocket's normally pessimistic attitude. Being able to comfort friends during difficult times isn't easy, especially when you struggle with compassion on a good day. And by working together, these two were able to create a powerful new weapon and a powerful new friendship. Okay, that one was a little bit cheesy, but seriously, how awesome are those two together? Tony Stark and Rhodey. As much as we love him, Tony has a mean self-destructive streak which often causes him to push people away. He's a hard man to get close to, even if he wasn't a genius and a billionaire. Those things might intimidate some people, but not his best friend, Colonel James Rhodes, best known as Rhodey. As much as he might not like to admit it, Tony desperately needs someone like Rhodey to keep him grounded and let him know when his ego starts to get too big. Sure, he has Pepper Potts, but let's be honest, managing Tony's ego is too big of a task for any one person. You have to have thick skin to put up with Tony Stark's constant scathing witticisms, and fortunately, Rhodey has the supersuit Tony gave to him. Tony can be reckless and hard-headed at the best of times, and it takes a strong person to stand up to him. Rhodey isn't afraid to dole out some tough love and respond to Tony's quips with some of his own. Neither of these guys are easy to keep up with on or off the battlefield, but somehow they've managed to find each other in this crazy, crazy world of the MCU. We've provided you with 10 awesome pairings, but there are tons more great relationships in the MCU. What's your favorite MCU relationship? Are there any that we might have missed? Let us know in the comment section below, and don't forget to subscribe to CBR for more MCU content. Thanks for watching.